Welcome to RGBA, where we cover technology news, cool gadget, and sometimes coffee and productivity. This is episode number 28. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host Tyler Ménard. This week, we discuss the iPhone 7 Plus, new iPads, and a couple of old socks. So, following up our last discussion about the MacBook Pro last week, we still haven't got a full detailed review of the new MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, but we started to see some little things here and there. Mainly, we've seen a bunch of people playing with the SDK. 1Password was one last week who did a little UI demo of what this feature could look like. And even yesterday, they released an update to the macOS version of 1Password with the update. And we've seen also people mucking up the touch bar on an iPad, so you can place your iPad on your keyboard and see exactly how the touch bar would behave. And Thomas Grove Carter wrote a post for the Huffington Post where he details his experience of the touch bar, mainly using FCPX, Final Cut Pro 10. So Tyler, will you tell us what you think about this little touch bar thing?
So we see that Thomas added a video to his review, and I think he's playing with the sound and a bunch of stuff, and it looks really laggy. Like it's always a couple of seconds behind his finger, so I don't know about using sliders on that. Maybe just pressing it on play pause might be okay, but the sliders look horrible. I'm guessing he has a production version too. It's not like this prototype or nothing, so is this what's going to be shipped?
Yeah, normally when Apple releases something like that to reviewers or professionals, it's the final version unless they specify it. Now, maybe Thomas did not tell us in his article that this was pre-production or pre-release software. Hopefully, by the time we get those in our hands, the performance will be better. Because like you said, he was moving his finger on the screen and the slider was not following accurately. There was a good delay, so... it might be nice for buttons, but for sliders, maybe it's too complicated for the moment. Maybe there's some optimization to be done still.
And also, this is software, so it's going to be able to be updated through software updates.
Yeah, of course.
Even if your device is bought on day one.
Yep. So we are still waiting for full reviews. People that ordered the computer, they now have a shipping date of November 17th. So we should have more news probably, I would say, if reviewers have their hands on it right now. Probably Monday or Tuesday, we should have more details. So by the time you hear this episode, you will probably see some full reviews of it. Following up, the announcement that we gave a few weeks ago about the Nintendo NES Classic Edition. They got released yesterday, so it was kind of a crazy frenzy. People were lining up in front of the stores. I've heard people getting to the shop at like 6 a.m. when the shop was opening at 10, and they only had like a few dozen units. I would say it's a botched release because there was so much demand and so few units that this was a big problem. And then after that, people were lining up virtually on Amazon because at 5 p.m. Eastern time, Amazon was releasing the NES Classic. So I was one of those guys in the bus, refreshing constantly my Safari on my phone to get the add to cart button, which was still not there. And I think I tried for like from 5 p.m. to like 5:30. And then I gave up, and at 5:40, I just tried again, and I saw the button was there. So quickly, I tried to hit that one-click purchase button on Amazon that only asks you for your credit card, and then the order is confirmed. And each time I was trying to do that, I would get some errors that the product is not available from the supplier or whatever from the seller I selected. So, but by the sixth time I tried, I finally got my order in. So I'm able to order the NES Classic. I was not able to get the one with a second room controller, so I only have one controller for now. And of course, the controller are out of stock everywhere. That is bad because there is so much money to be made for Nintendo for this little device. And sadly, there's just not enough reviews for launch day. And Nintendo tried to calm the masses by saying that more units will be underway and a lot more units before Christmas. So let's not give in to that $3,000 NES Classic on eBay and wait for more additional units.
This is the one that's running Linux without the cassettes, right?
Yeah, that's a fun thing. It's a small little Linux box with a quad-core CPU. I think it's 512 megs of RAM. And the only sad part is that the games are written into a NAND chip on the board. So it's not like a SD card that you could remove and add more ROMs on it. It's basically just written to the hardware. So you can 30 games.
Okay.
And it's like the selection is quite good. Personally, there's like 26 out of those that I really liked. So it's a good selection, but there are so many more games that I loved that did not make the cut. So I was hoping that there would be some kind of upgrade mechanism to get more out of that. This tells me that this is just a one-time. Unless Nintendo sells 50 million of those, maybe they're going to reconsider. But for now, that's all we have.
Did they include Duck Hunt?
No, because modern television are not capable of supporting the gun. Yeah, because the way it works is
That's sad.
Yeah, because the gun is actually just a big telescope that magnifies to the screen, and when you click, what happens is that the screen becomes dark, and the ducks are just round circles.
Right.
And if the gun can scan and see a bright white light, it's going to register as the duck. So you're going to get, pretty smart for 1980s stuff. It's pretty nice.
I never thought about how that worked.
Yeah, I did one time, and I digged into a forum post of explaining how it works, and it's pretty interesting. So yeah, it works super fine when you have a regular old CRT. Yeah, because they actually emit light, so it's like a light source. But the way that the flat screen work is the light is much less powerful, and for some reason it does not register. So no Duck Hunt, but you have all the great classics there. So it's still a great console, especially for the price. So hopefully they will get more stock from those. I will try to get a second controller, probably directly from Nintendo. I've got a contact there, but they sadly didn't have any review units for the launch. So maybe they're going to get the accessories in the coming days. And also I will need to purchase extender cords because the included controller have a 27-inch cord. So you're basically, so you're basically sitting in front of your television like in the 80s.
Yeah, that's how we used to do it.
Yeah, but the screens were not 55-inch,
Right.
So now I have to get something that's more in the range of about 8 feet to reach my couch. I've seen a bunch of things like partners are releasing lots of accessories for this game. I've seen other controllers. I've seen extender cords for the controllers. I've seen even a wireless device that you plug in to the Nintendo, and you can use a wireless NES controller. And I've also seen an adapter, because it's Dongle Town nowadays, where you can plug in your original NES controllers into that little port there. So that's also very nice. I've seen also the arcade joystick, like the big thing you would put on your lap, and you would have like the joystick like in an arcade. This is being released by some third-party company. And I've seen also like the dog bone controller, which was a controller in the shape of a dog bone with a turbo button. And I've seen also somebody releasing something like that with the appropriate cord to plug into the NES Classic.
The new controllers, are they as square as the old ones?
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Exact replicas?
I still have to open them up and see exactly their insides, because I've been like fixing and cleaning my controllers for 3 decades, so I'm pretty used to all the little rubbers and everything. And when I get mine, I'll be sure to open them and see exactly what's inside, and if Nintendo was faithful to their original design, or if they tried to do something different.
You're such a nerd.
Oh yeah. So that's it for the follow-up. I'll let you resume with the news.
So we had news this week of the iPhone SE might get an upgrade at the same time as the iPads this fall. We're not sure. I think it's our friend from the Chinese supply chain.
Ming Chi Kuo.
Min Chi Kuo. Yeah, he gets all the inside scoops from the supply chain.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing just the internals of an iPhone 7 and an iPhone SE. I wouldn't say they'd change the design. They'd just say, hey, the iPhone SE comes with new internals. Go buy it.
This makes sense. Especially that now everybody who wanted an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus purchased it from September all the way to Christmas. And then after Christmas, probably in March, I would say, with new iPads, we would get an iPhone SE as a little added bonus. So you still get the super small form factor, but like you said, new internals. So
small. It's funny that we say that now.
Yeah.
My friend has one, and I was playing with it on this week, and it really is tiny, especially typing on the keyboard. The keys are so small. I don't know how we lived like that.
Yeah, imagine the iPhone 3G.
Yeah,
3.5 inch. It was.
Yeah, my dad has an iPhone 4, so I use that sometimes, and it's horrible.
Yeah, but the iPhone 4, at least you got the widescreen. It's not just the same shorter screen so as the 3G.
What do you mean?
Isn't that the iPhone 4 that got a bit higher?
No, iPhone 5.
Oh, it's a 5. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so iPhone 4. Yeah. Jeez. When I take out my old iPhone 2G and look at it, just for memory's sake, it's pretty special to see how small it is. Yeah. The whole phone fits basically on the screen of a plus size iPhone today.
It used to be huge.
Yes. And my daughter has an iPod Touch, which is also super small.
Yeah, that too is the same form factor. It's a 5-inch screen, a 4-inch screen.
Yeah, it's crazy small.
Okay, and I think other than that's it
for this week.
No, the iPhone SE.
Okay. Here's the show with one news. Ciao, bye.
Another news. You can now see tvOS apps on your phone, and you can download them, and they'll be installed on your TV. This is nice because I remember finding apps at work, and then you get home and you just forget about them. So this is going to be cool.
We were like that with the App Store many years ago, and now, like you said, the Apple TV. There's not so many apps that are only Apple TV. Usually, they come with an iOS counterpart.
Yep.
But now that you can basically release your app, like you said, buy it from your phone. Does it work from iTunes also? Maybe not yet.
Who uses iTunes?
Yeah, I know, but when you click on the link on the web,
I'm not sure. I didn't try.
But yeah, you'll get a little pop-up that says this will be downloaded to your Apple TV. So while you're away, the game will be, or the app will be installed. And when you open your Apple TV, it will be there waiting for you.
And also, when people write about the apps or trying to promote their app, you can link to it with the iTunes link. So that's a nice added feature also.
Much easier than it says, open your Apple TV, open the App Store, search for Fireplace, and look at the one with the big bright orange Fireplace logo, and that's me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Actually have links. That's a nice addition.
Yes. On the rumor side, this week we've got some weird news. There are some sources that have said that Apple is working on a bezel-free 5-inch and 5.8-inch iPhones. So basically your 4.7-inch iPhone 7 will become a 5-inch iPhone 8 because the bezel, so the side between the screen and the edge of the device, will be removed. So probably the device will not be bigger, but the screen will be bigger on the device, which could be nice, meaning that in your hand it does not feel bigger, but you got more screen real estate. but I don't really like it because right now with a regular iPhone 7 Plus or iPhone 6s Plus, I often, when I watch movie, slide my finger across the edge, and that just brings up the scrubber and stuff like that, the controls. But if the whole phone is edge to edge, this will be quite a big problem when using the different interface. So I'm not sure I'm going to like that unless Apple thinks about something very smart related to the detection of your fingers from the edge. Because right now you can go back if you slide from the left side going to the center. So you can go back to a screen, or you can even hold that with the Force Touch to just switch apps. But they will have to do something more, because just like that, I don't think this will be a good experience. And the plus size will go from 5.5 inch screen to 5.8. So yeah, I'm kind of like not decided on if this is good or not, because bigger screen is always better, but not if the usability gets in the way.
Have you tried the Samsung with the Edge screen there?
Only a few seconds. I've got a colleague at work who has one, and he really loves it. He says that since getting that Samsung 7 Edge, it's the best phone he ever got. He doesn't really like Samsung as a company maker, but he says once he tried that thing with the screens, he cannot live without it. So
I guess they have good detection to when you're just resting, like finger detection.
yeah,
I don't know how that works.
It's that, but it's also that the back of the phone is not flat. The edge are like curved. So when you hold it, you still have a little section where you can grip your hands on it. So it's not like if you're holding the screen side to side.
You're not always two fingers on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the sides are mostly used for shortcuts. So you don't swipe on those little edge. So that's why it may not be a problem, because if you hold the phone in landscape, you don't trigger anything, because there's nothing to trigger unless you press like an icon. So it seems to be better. Hopefully Apple will make sure that this doesn't get worse on their device. And at the same time, we've got 3 new iPads that are supposed to be launched in March, including one more bezel-free iPad. So I think the bezel-free thing will probably be the new thing for 2017. So our favorite analyst, Ming Chi Kuo, says that there should be a 10.5-inch iPad Pro, while the Japanese site Mac Otakara says that it should be a 10.1-inch. So one or the other is wrong. Probably one of those, like the 10.5 is probably the bezel-free one. So you have no edge on each side. The 10.1 inch is probably just a slightly bigger screen from the 9.7. Yeah. Again, not sure. I think it's way too early to even take these rumors seriously. There's also the removal of the home button, which can make sense if they want to make the iPad water resistant. That could be a good thing. I'm not sure if they're going to remove the 3.5mm jack. Probably they will. But still, it's way too early. Let's wait at least after Christmas for more substantial rumors.
We don't even know we don't even know they're going to update them yet.
Yeah, because right now there's a bunch of iPads, and Apple is not necessarily doing full lineup refresh.
Yeah, like we know there's going to be a new iPhone next October or September.
Yeah, but still the
iPad up in the air.
Yeah, and iPhone SE is not launched at the same time as the iPhones, so that's also something different. Now we have at least 2 sizes of iPad and 2 sizes of iPad Pros. How do you really 3 sizes?
Yeah, you have the
3.
Pro,
3.
The Baby Pro,
yes,
and the Mini.
Yeah, but I thought more of a size in terms of screen width. Oh. So the iPad Mini, the iPad size, and the Big Pro, and all of those are different lineups, and they have not been released at the same time. So they all have their own schedule. So maybe Apple will refresh all of them at the same time. I don't think so. They are going far further and further from this in their release schedules. It's mostly like half a lineup, like the Pro Series or the not Pro Series, and that's how they roll usually.
Then the next rumor is the AirPods. So they were originally scheduled for late October, and then they didn't say nothing. They just took off the late October on the website. And now people were, I think they were saying the beginning of 2017. And these rumors are saying end of December in limited quantities, and then January 2017.
Yeah, we even had a reseller, which is Conrad, who reported that they would be able to receive their iPods on November 17.
Right.
So that was earlier this week. So we have next year, this year, next week. So it's basically in the air. I can understand why Apple does this. I think they probably had some hard to track down bugs, or maybe some little software issues that they really, really want to get right. This is a very important product for Apple, both in terms of technology, because the way that they designed it, the rechargeability of it, the computer in your ear technology, and also it's their first wireless Apple branded earphones ever, I think. Yeah, they never had any wireless ones.
Nope.
And they really have to get this right if they want to be considered very serious in the game. Also, they are bringing to the table something that is novel, the W1 chip that takes away all of the pain of pairing and using your AirPods. So they're not just saying that we're getting you some new pair of earbuds, wireless. We're getting you something that just works, basically. So it really has to just work and not be a pain in the ass, because if people start to use those and they all report disconnection issues or pairing issues or whatever, they won't be happy with that, and it will harm the AirPod brand, which I think can all eventually grow with more products.
Yeah, because the pairing right now really sucks for Bluetooth.
Oh yes, and it's like unreliable. You just open your device, it's working.
Sometimes it's connected, sometimes it's not. Lose connection, it just stops and comes back.
Yeah, or completely like shuts down and starts back up and reconnected. Yeah. Or you just have like bits and pieces of silence when you're listening to music, which you of course it's not the track, because if you rewind a few seconds, you have the sound there. So it lost a connection or something for like half a second here and there.
Also, yeah, so what I get a lot is that I see the iPhones are the headphones are connected to the phone because of the little icon in the status bar, but then I can't play sound, so I have to close the headphones, close Bluetooth, and then toggle everything back on and off till it gets caught again. It's a pain.
Yep, exactly.
And the biggest problem of all, switching between two devices.
Yeah. Companies try to do this with an app. I know Bose is doing that. It's working, but it's not intuitive. You always
4 or 5 seconds to connect every time.
Yeah, or it tries to connect to multiple devices, and it says searching, while your laptop is in like your bag, and you know it's not going to connect to it, but it's still searching for like 10 times, and then it shuts, and you can listen to your music.
Every time I leave work at night, when I put my headphones on and power them on, the first thing it's trying to reach is the MacBook in my bag. And it says disconnected, the device lost, and then it connects to my phone.
Yeah, it's really, really not something great. Last week we talked about the new pricing for for all the dongles, but also the LG Ultrafine 4K and 5K displays. We just got the alert that they begin shipping, so customers should be able to get their first 4K and 5K displays on November 15th at the earliest. So
let's just hope they receive their MacBook Escape.
Yeah, because you won't be able.
Nothing else you can use it with.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and if you want to buy one right now, it's 5 to 6 weeks for delivery time. So you still have to wait a little bit for that. I'm really looking forward to see this in person, because the press shots usually are either much more pretty than life or a lot more awful than in life. So either or.
I hope it's not more ugly in person than it is on pictures.
Yeah, maybe they fixed some of the issues we had. I don't know. It's maybe too late for that. But anyways, I'm just waiting to see what they look like. So the last news we have this week, Stephen Hackett from 512 Pixels shared a little video of he called it the forgotten iPod sock. Basically, if you lived through the early 2000s, and you probably did because you're listening to our podcast right now, and you're probably not 7 years old, the iPod socks were little case-like things that you can buy and slide in your iPod. So when you put it away in your pocket or whatever, it would protect it, and it would also shield it from harm. So these were coming in a set of 6 colors, I think. So you could buy like one pack of 6 colors. They were, in my opinion, probably one of the smartest ideas at the time for a device, mainly because they were easily removable and they would protect it from little bumps, and they would also clean it and protect it from scratch. So this was a great idea, and they came in a bunch of little colors. So this is great. And Stephen pointed out that there was also a seventh color that existed, which was given to the opening of the Boylston Street Apple Store in Boston. It was instead of getting a T-shirt like you would normally do when they open a store, at this time in 2008, they gave out a iPod sock in red. So if you have all the 7 colors, it's pretty nice. Have you ever purchased one of those?
No, I never had one.
No.
I've seen one. I played with them, but no, not myself.
Yeah, me neither. I was not an iPod user in those years. But I wanted to get some when I had my first iPhone. And eventually they were just like way too expensive on eBay, and I just let the idea go.
I have for the iPods, I have like they give a black case, kind of like the sock, but not really, that I still have here in my hands. And it's pretty nice still, considering it's like 15 years old or 10 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, they I don't know if it was Apple made or if it was just some third party that proposed to Apple these things, but they had just the right amount of stretchability, the right amount of slipperiness, if you want, when you were putting the iPod inside. So it's just like, when you get a product in your hands and you just feel that it's just perfect for what it has to do. This is a rare feeling, and this sock was exactly it. Moving on to Review Corner. This week I've got 2 devices for you. I finally got my iPhone 7 Plus, so I'll be able to talk a little bit about this. Basically, it's an iPhone. It's... Yeah, no, seriously, the design of it is pretty nice. The slippery factor is the same as the 6S Plus. I got the pink one for review, so it's the aluminum back. It's not the jet black, so it feels the same in hand. There's no difference in terms of grippiness from the sides. The only visual change you see from previous generations is the antenna bands that are now pushed to the top and the bottom of the backside, which in my opinion is a great idea. Even better if you get the black version, because they are almost visually gone, so you can barely you can barely see them. Other than that, the buttons are all quite nice. The bottom side now have speaker grills on both sides. Only one of the holes is used for microphone. The rest is there just for aesthetic and symmetry. The speaker is much stronger. It's kind of weird because the point of it is that you have now a speaker on the bottom and in your earpiece, which is now a real speaker that is just very, very low when you speak on the phone and very, very strong when you listen to music or something. If you hold the phone from the middle, like from exactly the middle, the sound really comes from both sides equally. But I'm usually holding the phone in my hand and the bottom side, where is the home button, in the palm of my hand. So I can make a little reflection for the sound to direct the sound to me. This makes the right speaker stronger than the left one. So the effect is not perfect in this situation. It's understanding that it's because I'm holding it and not because of the phone is badly designed. but still the sound is much, much, much stronger, to a point that even if I crank it up to almost the maximum, the EQ is not perfect, so it's like still very tinny in terms of sound, so it doesn't feel right to the ears. So I usually don't go all the way up the maximum levels, probably maybe 3 or 4 ticks before the max. The other new thing, the camera on the back, I've got the plus version. So basically it's the new 2-lens array. This is quite interesting. I was very skeptic at first. As you know, I'm a photography nerd. I love my big DSLR. I love taking pictures with it. I love the bokeh effect, the bokeh, if you prefer. I've seen the first pictures when TechCrunch got the exclusive on this feature, when it was in beta. I noticed the missing arms of people. I noticed the missing hairs. It was, I would say, far from being perfect. And I was hopeful that being a beta, it would get better. And thankfully, it did. The version that was recently released, I think it was 10.1.1 or 10. I don't remember. I'm on the beta, so for me, the versions are always messed up. So basically, the latest release version now has a final version of that. And I'm happy to report that the missing arms are not missing anymore. And most of the situations where you have hairs, or if you have smaller parts of the object on the same plan as the main focus area, you do get those in the picture in focus. It's only when you have, let's say, an object with many depth, let's say like a bush, you have different depth of leaves, then you can see that it still has problems giving you the right amount of blur the further it gets from where you are. So that's very specific, and unless you know what to look for, I would say that 95% of people would not see it. So it really is an amazing feature, and it's way higher than what I was expecting in terms of efficiency for doing the blur effect.
How do you like the home button after a couple of weeks?
Yeah, that I was scared at first, because when I first started using it, I tried settings 1, 2, and 3, started with 3 just to kind of rock my world and be sure that this is something different. Ended up going back to setting number 2. I know most people prefer 3, I think. I think it's way too strong. The vibration really comes from the back of the phone when you hold it. So that's weird. And especially at number 3, you really can feel that the phone moves from behind, and it's not the best thing. Number 2, it's kind of better balance. I will probably get down to number 1 eventually. But right now, number 2 feels right. I would say maybe 20% of the times, I still get a twitch on, this is weird. This is not the real button. Especially in the recent years where the home button was so reliable. And it was also much more durable. So the feeling was never like a battered home button where you would press it and it was so smooshy that, you know, it felt broken or something. It was much more stiff in the recent years. So going to this little vibration thing is not exactly the same thing, but I'm getting used to it. So I would say that maybe once every 5 times I use it, I realize it's like another real button. So that's you can live with it, and eventually I will, maybe like in a month or 2, I will not even notice it anymore.
You haven't had any like instances where it doesn't work or something?
That's a cool thing. Touch ID, which is the same Touch ID 2 as they had on the 6S Plus and 6S last year, it's much better. The single time where I had the most problem was after washing my hands. So my hands were still not wet, but damped, I would say. And just with this moisture in my fingers, it was enough to throw out the Touch ID sensor. In this case, it worked every time except once. So maybe out of 20, 25 times, only once it failed. And I had to just wipe my finger on my jeans and try again, which would rarely work on this 6S Plus until my finger was really, really dry. But in this case, it worked the second time. So I would say it's much better in terms of accuracy, and especially if you have moist hands or fingers. It's really is surprising how reliable it is, because you've gotten accustomed to, okay, I'm going to try it, but I know it's not going to work, so I'm going to have to wipe my hands a lot more just to get it off. I'm going to put my code in, But in this case, it's like, oh, it works. First time. Wow, okay. So it was very surprising. The screen now. The screen is bright. The screen is nice with the colors. I'm not one to really notice the new DCI P3 wide color gamut colors. If I look at specific pictures with the different sRGB or DCI P3 colors, I can see the difference. But if I take a picture from outside and look at it on the phone, I don't see nothing that stands out. You might say that's the point of it, so it looks even more like real life. But I don't see it if I'm not looking for it, specifically with before and after pics. It might just be that my eyes are not as attuned to colors as much. There's only one picture that I really saw it, is one of my kid wearing a red shirt, and every time I look at the picture, I see the red. It's just much more aggressive than what usually a picture does, and that is probably because of that. Exactly, is the red is more strong in certain extremities, if you want, of the color spectrum. Same thing for the oranges and the greens. So it should be a little bit more contrasty, a little bit more visually intense, and that's what it's aiming for. But since I don't really realize it when I'm not looking at it, especially, it means that it works, that the color is there, it's better, but it doesn't jump to your eyes, So other than that, I did also a couple of benchmarks. I tried to run it also with a regular Geekbench benchmark. I also tried the disk read and write speeds. So try to compare that to previous generations of devices. And it's quite interesting. Let me take out my notes. So in terms of performance, basically you get about 38% faster than previous generations. The 6S was 68% faster. Usually is about 60 to 70% for S generations, and something like 25 to 40% for the non-S generation. So it's in line with any other iPhone 5 or 6 of the past. It is faster, but not drastically faster. So at first I was hoping for another S type of bump, which we didn't get in terms of performance, at least in the CPU side, but it's still a 38% gain in performance, and you can really see it while navigating different apps, going back and forth. Everything is much faster, much smoother. I was not feeling that the 6S Plus was slow. It was still very fast to my eyes. It was probably the first year that I did not felt the need to get something faster, because I was not noticing any slowness on the device. But when you do the test side by side, you can see that the 7 Plus is a little bit faster than the 6S Plus. On the SSD side of things, basically you get a read speed of about 528 megs per second and a write speed of 379 megs per second. If you compare it with the last generation, you get about 20 more megs a second in read and about 50 megs in write. So it's just a little bump. It's not the craziest of the bumps, but if you compare it to the 6S, which was not the Plus, but just the 6S, you already have more than twice as fast. So just from 1 year, and because you get the Plus model, you get a much faster SSD. This was also reported by Unbox Therapy that the 32 gigs iPhone 7 was slower than the 256 gigs iPhone 7. So even in a single model, you don't get the same speeds. But these are just numbers, and they are numbers you get by copying and reading hundreds of megs. On the daily use, you never do that. So you shouldn't see any difference in terms of speed between a 32 gigs or 256 gig iPhone 7. They should be the same in your hands, because the difference will be in milliseconds, because you just read and write a few megs here and there. So as long as you don't get, I would say, below 100 megaseconds, you shouldn't get any difference. So anything up over that, like we have 291 for the 6S and 500 and more for the 6S Plus and the 7 Plus, you don't see any difference. It's super fast everywhere. What else? The headphone jack missing. Just one thing to say: get over it. Yeah.
Did you use a little adapter?
Not a single time, because they include Lightning headphones. So
right.
I use those when I'm in my bed, and the rest of the time I'm using my wireless headphone.
I saw two people using the new phone, and one was using the adapter, and the other one had the Lightning headphones in.
Yeah, so there's no cause for concern, because they have an adapter in the box and they have headphones in the box. So like 80% of the people use the white earbuds, they're in the box, and for the rest of the 20%, there's an adapter, and for the even smaller portion of them that are already wireless, they're still wireless. So not a big deal, really. So that's it for this week. I've also got the Roku Ultra, which I will be reviewing more in depth in the coming week. I'm getting a 4K TV for review. So
And
this,
also the Pixel.
yeah, also the Pixel. Yeah, true. The Google Pixel. I got my Pixel HD right here, 5.5 inch, 32 gigs. So I'll play with this a little bit more, and I'll report back next week. So that's it for this week. So you can find the show notes at rgba.fm/28. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. And I'm Valliere, VALLIERES.
And I'm Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
Perfect. So have a nice week.
Have a nice week.